Hello everybody, this is NCS, and welcome back to Let's Play Sengoku Gensoukyou. Last time, we had the first of several festival cutscenes, and today we're completely going to ignore that and instead just do some developing. Yeah, it will take us, well, at least one more round until the Scarlet Devil Mansion actually declares war on us. And, well, I want them to declare war on us, just because, pretty much. So, for right now, all we are going to do is a little bit more developing and seeing what our enemies are up to. And looking if we have something cheap to research, huh? Only the human village, unfortunately. But, well, it isn't at that high of a risk of being attacked anymore, since the Garden of the Sun is now under our control, well, since quite some time actually, and the Misty Lake as well. And we have another cutscene with the Crimson SDM. The maids were cleaning the very long corridors of the SDM. They made sure that not even a speck of dust remained in case visitors arrived at any time. The head of the mansion would tolerate nothing less. But although they were called maids, they were mostly fairies and pretty much useless. The head maid, Sakya Izayoi, was once again working extremely hard to pick up the slack of the maids she supervised. Please handle that corridor. You, take that one, and you, wipe the soot off the light, please. The fairy maids scampered off as they received Sakya's instructions. From a human's perspective, they were taking all the time in the world, but fairies simply did not know how to do things hurriedly. Yeah, after all, they live for quite a while, since they are, well, parts of nature, basically. Well, yeah, parts of nature incorporated, or not incorporated, but, yeah, given form, so to say. So yeah, they really don't understand the concept of time that much, in the sense of time being very limited. My, this always happens. I suppose I shall have to make up for them. The maids generally could not be counted upon, which meant that the SDM was mostly maintained by just Sakya alone. She made that impossible feat possible through her power, the manipulation of time. Whew, that should do it. Anyone else looking at the situation would have seen the place clean up in an instant, but it was actually Sakya stopping time and painstakingly cleaning everything, which left her considerably tired. Fairies are useless no matter how many of them there are. You never know what yokai are plotting, and humans don't come here. If only there were 4 of me. In the past, that dream was supposed to come true, courtesy of Pachuri's strange magic experiments. But it didn't turn out quite as planned, and it was a solemn reminder to Sakya that there could only be one. Cue the Highlander references here! Well, I suppose I wouldn't feel comfortable with letting anyone else handle my job either, so I shall do my best for milady's sake. Though she always mourned about how busy she was, there was no one who could match her standards of perfection. So being busy with all the affairs of the mansion practically became a status symbol for her. Ah! It broke! What should I do? What's done is done. There's a spare in the storehouse, so grab the similar looking thing and come back. Okay, I'll be back. If she worked alone, she might well make more progress than the quantity over quality fairy maid brigade. Those thoughts continued to run through her head as she picked up the broken pieces of glass. Here it is. Exchange it for the broken one. Make sure not to break it from now on. Even after giving out the orders, she still watched worriedly over the maids as she performed the task uncertainly. She could have done it faster herself, but she wanted to give the maids some work to do at least. Okay now. It's already this time? Hey, you! Can you go and relieve mailing of the gatekeeper duties? It's about time for her break. Okay. Sakya watched the maid fly off, then continued cleaning up what the maids left behind. She passed by a window as she cleaned, which gave her a good look at Mei Ling frolicking in the flower garden outside. Good grief, does she even know what stress is? Perhaps I should teach her to work a little harder. Ever since the Scarlet Mist incident, the Scarlet Devil Mansion had an unusual warm atmosphere. From Sakya's standpoint, this was not a bad thing, but people should not lose their sharpness because of it. Well, Mei Ling has to work quite hard guarding the gate. Sort of. Well, okay, she has quite a lot of time with doing nothing at all, and her being counterattacked by, or attacked period, by the Hagekure Hades. But still, Mei Ling has hard work to do whenever Marisa tries to break in. Yeah. Marisa really is her only trouble. Mei Ling's, that is. Okay, Kana was better in wisdom. Yeah, okay, that's all we've heard. Far-ranged. Unless something interesting happens here, I guess I'm going to cut out this battle, so let's see which characters are going to come up. Nah, nothing interesting at all. Yeah, I'll cut that battle out and be right back. Well, easy battle is easy. Well, they were only 4 enemies, so I didn't expect anything. Ooh! Yeah, some episodes ago, I had to redo some stuff and I didn't save, so Renko wasn't in any party anymore. And now she joined the Yakima residence? Good to know. Yeah. Nothing really important there. Okay, let's get this round over with as well, with some developing. And I believe the Scarlet Mansion will actually declare war on us in about 2 turns or so. I'm not entirely certain myself. However, I am not going to attack anyone until until I can attack the Scarlet Mansion. I do not want to, well, declare war on them myself, simply because that would be wasting a turn I could use for developing. I wonder why she called me up so suddenly. Maybe she's angry about the incident that just happened. I don't want to go now. Mei Ling was walking down the long corridors of the SDM, having been called over by Sakya. She wasn't sure why, but after giving it some thought, she couldn't imagine that it was anything but the Yukari incident. It may have been my duty, but it was the first time I felt such a pressurizing aura. But I'll definitely failed there. Perhaps you understand better than I thought. Miss Sakya, what did you get here? She was grumbling as she walked down the corridor when Sakya's sudden voice made her stand up straight in fright. Sakya herself had shown up at some point and was now leaning against a wall. Just now. Were you stopping time in order to appear like that? What a weird hobby. What did you just say? Oh, nothing. Anyway, I thought you wanted to talk with me at the parlor. Why are you here? I didn't think it was so important as to use that place. As for the matter I wanted to bring up. Sakya's sharp gaze was piercing daggers at Mei Ling. This isn't aimed at you particularly. It should be aimed at all of the mansion's workers. Don't you think that you've been too loose in your work lately? Too loose? So it's about the incident from the other day, huh? That is part of it, but I saw you happily dancing around the flower fields recently as well. Well, you were watching me? I was on my break, so I was just relaxing and unwinding. While that may be the case, one must always? I think that's a must there. One must always be on their guard as long as they are outside of the mansion, regardless of whether they are on their break or not. Imagine what would happen if an enemy came while you were behaving like I saw you. So what, they would attack Mei Ling? Mei Ling would notice that, and she would get into, well, battle position. No harm there, right? They would be able to easily ambush you, wouldn't they? That's... There are a lot of times where dangerous intruders try to enter the mansion. Like when Raymond Marisa did so, and like the recent incident. Well, for Raymond Marisa, it was you who started up an incident, so of course you would be prepared for any people trying to stop your incident. And for Yukari, she wasn't even trying to attack you, okay? Maybe some other person wanted to attack the Scuttle mansion and came up like that, but still, when Mei Ling's on break duty, well, not on duty, but on break, there was that fairy maid. She would have been alerted, or well, Mei Ling would have been alerted by the fairy maid screaming or something that an intruder was there, right? It is worrying if your imperfect gatekeeper lets her guard down as soon as she thinks there are no enemies around. It makes you no better than a placeholder. Mei Ling had been quietly listening to Sakuya's scolding, but her face started to stiffen as Sakuya's tone got worse. As someone who had protected the SDM's gate for ages, it was not something she could let go. Yeah, especially since, for all we know, Mei Ling is longer employed at the SDM than Sakuya is. As long as you harden your attitude, Milady and I will have less to worry about, and I will not criticize you any further. That is all, you may leave. Miss Sakuya? I mean, Miss Hatmaid? What? Do you not think that manner of speaking makes it sound like I am below you? That was not my purpose. But is that not the truth? Well, it could be, but I don't think that a maid and gatekeeper are in any positions to be ahead of each other, really. I would really think they're just on a common level. Although, Sakuya is the head maid, not just any maid. I was accepted by Milady and given the duty of protecting the gate. Ever since then, I am very proud of the dedication I have put into my job. Yet, you use such a minor example to justify saying that I am no better than a placeholder. I simply cannot accept such a line of thought. Are you trying to say that your work as a gatekeeper is perfect? I'm sure that even you wouldn't claim as such. It is true that I have weaknesses. But if you are putting the blame on me, don't you think that's disrespectful to the one who assigned me this duty? What? You said earlier that I would trouble you and Milady. Milady is an extraordinary case, but I do not think there is anything you can do that I can't. So in short, you're trying to say that I'm weaker than you? Miss Hatmaid, I do not think the difference between you and I is a matter of strength or power. Oh, really? Sakuya and Mei Ling did not move even one step back from their confrontation. Both of them had their pride and would not withdraw in this kind of situation. Stop beating around the bush. You basically do not accept me, am I correct? Milady accepted you, thus I have done so as well. What I won't accept is you looking down on me in disdain. That is all. Then perhaps you should not act in a fashion that would invite such disdain. It was obvious that their thinly wheeled snipes would not come to an end so easily. The short period of uneasy silence lingered until a third party's voice broke the stormy atmosphere. Goodness, I was wondering what the fuss was all about. Milady, what are you doing here? Well, the way you two were talking, even those who didn't want to hear you had to do so. But please forgive me. Neither of you will be happy if it's left like this, so let's finish this up quickly. Let's see you two fight each other. Fight each other? It's the most appropriate way to decide who's weak and who's strong. I've decided that's what we'll do. So hurry up already. Milady, you just find this amusing, don't you? So... you two are now fighting each other. What was it about the whole we need to prepare for incoming intruders at any possible time while we're outside, and now this picture showing those two outside fighting each other and watching possible intruders to just barge in and do whatever they want. Game! Oh well, but this picture is nice. The two quarreling parties faced off in front of the gate. Romelia had said that they should fight outside, so they wouldn't make a mess of the mansion, though she insisted on the fight in the first place. I shall be watching the event, so go at it seriously. But don't go too far. I would do so even if you weren't there, milady. Mei-ling, I would never have thought that I would face you like this. I feel exactly the same. But I will not hold back. Neither will I. Well then, shall we begin? And awesome music. Both combatants circled each other slowly, waiting for a gap to open. The tension was completely unlike what one would find in a Spellcard rules battle. In an instant, the silence ended. Although I have to say, why is Sakuya's theme playing in the background, not Mei-ling's? Oh, I really like Mei-ling's themes, although I, to be honest, like Sakuya's a little more. She threw several of the knives she was holding at Mei-ling. Mei-ling easily knocked them away, but in the next instant, Sakuya was right in front of her. The knives were a feint, just as I thought. She predicted. Huh? Sakuya had followed up her knife attack with a sharp spinning kick. But Mei-ling stooped to dodge it, and kicked upwards as she stood up, landing a direct hit on Sakuya's chin. There! You think that's enough? Ooh, red eye Sakuya, that means she's serious! Or about to stop time. One or the other. Ah! Sakuya seemed to be flying in the air from the force of the kick, but she somersaulted, landed, and immediately threw out a powerful kick. Mei-ling tried to block, but the strength of the kick caused her to stagger back. Oof! You didn't try to follow up, huh? It was such a good chance, too. I will not buy it so easily. You were already preparing chi in the back of your palm, in case I got careless, were you not? Heh, I guess that doesn't work in real-life battle. And I practiced so hard, too. I should have figured that you see through it. Perhaps I may not have mentioned this, but I am much more confident in my skills at melee battle than at Danmaku battle. Is that so? Then that's an even bigger reason for me to beat you. Yeah, seeing how Mei-ling pretty much sucks at Danmaku battle, but is in the first fighting game when she was just a versus character really bad as well. She had good combos, but her fighting power was really bad. But she was good in Hiso Tensoku. In fact, she was one of my favorite characters in that game. Have you not noticed? Your duty as a gatekeeper means that you are always prepared to fight many opponents at once. Your chi may be effective against several enemies at a time, but in a one-on-one battle, your attacking options are limited. Actually, I think her chi attacks are really great in one-on-one, but no. I will confirm that for you right now! Many knives formed into Sakuya's hands as she shouted. She then jumped backwards to open up distance, and threw several knives aimed above her. The knife stopped dead right above, then turned to point at her. Ch! I can still handle this! The knives took turns to fly towards Mei-ling, one by one. Mei-ling knocked them aside with the back of her hand as they came, but the knives that fell to the floor would float back up and rejoin the pack. You now have an endless supply of knives being thrown at you eternally. What will you do? So your strategy is to wear me down. It is true that I won't be able to escape this without taking some damage, so as you wish! Master Spark? The hand that was meant to attack Sakuya released all the chi it stored, glowing a rainbow-colored aura that slowly grew, swirled and enveloped Mei-ling. The barrier-like aura then began to swallow up the knives. I'll just take them all out! Mei-ling began to float upwards as the swirl of light eventually caught all of the unmoving knives into it. Just as I thought, that was your only recourse when surrounded. And when you have your chi scattered around, you can't defend what's in front of you! Well, she still has her arms to block, you know, Sakya. Sakya produced a single silver knife and threw directly at Mei Ling. Its trajectory and speed would make it land a direct powerful hit on the mostly defenseless Mei Ling. Or so she thought. I knew you would do that! Eh? Mei Ling twisted her body, barely dodging the knife aimed at her. The right hand near her waist was once again beginning to absorb all the chi that was scattered about. That was your intention all the while? Ah, you know, Sakya, Mei Ling might be strong, but she's not the mastermind who plans the fight from the very beginning of the battle, so I think most of the things she does is just reacting to what you're doing, you know? Heck, even for you, I don't think you're planning the whole battle from the very beginning. But you can't hit me from there! And now... Ha! Mei Ling's tension reached its limit. Her chi-powered hand rotated to her front, and the chi shot out towards Sakya. The invisible chi bullet grazed Sakya's cheek and hit the ground behind, leaving a gaping hole. Impossible! Since when could you do this kind of move? It didn't work. You're not so naive as to be beat by that, I see. Sakya looked backwards, dumbfounded at the crater in the ground behind her. Mei Ling landed back on the ground and resumed her fighting stance with a bitter smile. Sakya slowly turned back, with a similar expression. Not bad. To be honest, I've always thought of you as the unreliable gatekeeper, but that estimation of your worth has ended today. I'm glad to hear that. Should I be, actually? Both of them had failed to land their killer blows, so the battle continued. They couldn't keep up their long-range battle from before, and a melee battle would make it hard for either of them to avoid taking damage. Although Mei Ling is a physical wall, so yeah, she would receive far less damage than Sakya would. It would be difficult to hit with any thrown knives from now on. And I would be in trouble if I take a counterattack like that one directly. But based on her movements earlier, a careless frontal attack would probably earn me a severe counter for my troubles. With their trump cards lost, the stare-down continued. Their bodies were tiring, and their movements were beginning to get sluggish. Finally, an intruder called them out from the world of their own. That's enough. Milady! Why must we stop? I can still go on. Both of you were not going to give up from the beginning anyway. Would you prefer this to continue on to the day, and see me burn to ashes? Well, you can't completely burn to ashes since you reabsorb your ashes immediately, but yeah, I think it would be not a bad idea to carry on for too long. That's understood. Sakya and Mei Ling both finally relaxed their posture at their master's order. It was true that continuing on would not have done anything, and there was a sense of relief that they came out relatively injury-free. So, how was it? Is everything cleared up yet? And I do mean everything. Yes, I'm sorry that I had you bother yourself with our personal problems, milady. It is my fault. All of those things I said earlier, I take them all back. Do not fall like around when you're on break too? No, I also said a lot of provocative things. I'm sorry. That was such a waste of time. Yeah, I'm hungry. I shall prepare something at once. Mei Ling, please continue to protect the gate. I will bring you some food later. Yes, you can count on me. Those who live in the same place, or even serve the same master, may not always share opinions. But it is when both parties recognize and accept the differences that a mutual understanding can eventually be reached. Perhaps, just perhaps, Remelia had foreseen this occurring, and stoked up the flames between them? Only Remelia herself would ever know. From then on, the two never had major problems with each other again. Well, that's nice. Okay, nothing here. But, yeah, in the the fighting games, it was said that that Sakya and Mei Ling actually do spar, well, quite often actually, or well, at least from time to time. But it's usually a friendly duel and not something, well, more going all out like here. But anyway, next time we will hopefully get a declaration of war from the SDM, seeing how things are kind of heated up there. But for today, well, we're going to leave it at that. So, this was NCS, and farewell for now.